If this is what life sounds like, then this is what the world is. Got pissed between the whole zeitgeist, found out true religion ain't nothing but some old jeans. Struggling through the whole thing. I might need me a refund, cause I can't fit in these things. I spend too much on the floss. Shine me down for the gloss. The cause is way too expensive. The effects is keeping us lost. I'm looking for the old meaning to get us out of this teaching. They tell me that I'm too wrong, or maybe that I'm too preachy. Hello, listener. Inconsistently Consistent Podcast. I'm Eric, better known as Everything Real is Known. Man, it's been a hell of a week for Kayne West. It's been, man, this man went from being in a billionaires club to being in a millionaires club. It's so fucked up that the company's pulled out, like, because he was saying some fucked up shit, right? Let's be clear. It's not like he wasn't saying some fucked up shit. He was saying some fucked up shit, and he should have lost his partnerships, but god damn, look at the fucking control. He went on a show called Drink Champs, and he started talking about the Jewish media, and god damn, did he put a fucking light on that shit, right? Like, they took this man from, in a little over fucking 2 days, a little over 2 days. I wasn't even going to talk about this. I was not even about to go there on the Kayne West train, but I felt like it was super important for me to bring this to you and just talk about my experiences with similar shit that he did, right? I'm not jumping out here and saying I'm about to start offending people, because that's not what I do. But, but I did similar things to what he did, right? So back to what I was saying, like, this guy in 2 days went from being one of the richest black men in America to now you just only 400 million. You ain't shit because you 400 million now. You're not a billionaire. That's bullshit, right? He still got the money. He still got the capital. He's still able to do what it is that he wants to do. You know what I mean? But it just goes to show, right? Freedom of speech is not really free, right? It has consequences. No. Let's just take that back. Freedom of speech is free and you can do it, but are you willing to suffer the consequences after what is going to happen after that shit? I think that's the more important thing, right? With Kanye having all these brand deals, right? He had a brand deal with Yeezy, with Adidas. Everybody knows that. And if you don't, you're under a fucking rock, right? But he had a brand deal with Adidas. He had a brand deal with Gap. And some of the movements that he was making, I'm not going to lie, some of the movements he was making was some dope ass shit. And I was like, wow, this shit is next level, right? And I'll just give you one of the ideas that I thought was so genius of what he decided to do. And let me be clear. If he wasn't doing, if it wasn't his idea to do these things, and somebody else was putting the battery in his back, and they were saying that he should do this, they're genius then as well. But let me just give you one of the ideas that I thought was like, you know what? God damn, it's so fucking smart, right? So one of the things that he decided to do with Adidas, or excuse me, not with Adidas, with Gap, or one of the headlines that caught everybody's attention, right? I'm not gonna get on the shirt yet. I know that's where y'all want me to go. But I'm not getting on the shirt. I probably won't even get on the shirt. And what he said. It's just mainly I want to talk about what he did do and what kind of doors he opened up, as well as talking about his mistakes. But there's a whole, just follow me. Just follow me, right? I got a whole thing that I want to talk about. Again, I wasn't going to talk about this. I didn't want to hop on the rest of the train like everybody else, but I felt like I should talk about this because it is something near and dear to me, right? It's something close. It's something, it's one of my idols, right? But I got to talk about this shit because I'm in the same line, right? I'm in the same line as him, okay? So look, one of the things that I thought was super fucking genius, right? And it's the thing that we really, as people, we really didn't realize that we all do this shit in the first fucking place. But it's so big that it's such a small change that I think people wasn't ready for the change. And I think that's what threw everybody off. So before all of this, well, I won't say before because it was in the midst of all this shit. But one of the things that he did is he told Gap, instead of hanging the clothes up, I want you to put them in big bags and let everybody sift through the shit. It's all the same product. You find your size, you get your size, and you go to the resident, you pay for the shit, right? That became headline news that he had did this because it was such a huge thing that he had did. Everybody was like, wow, why would he make them take the shit off the hangers and put the shit on in bags? Well, most consumers are consuming their clothes online, right? So you already just see a picture of the shit. And half the time, the picture is not that glamorous. It's not great or anything like that. It's just a picture, a stock picture of what you potentially are buying, right? Most of us, we shop online. Blame Amazon. But he decided to go about the shit differently and put the shit in a bag and make you dig through till you got your size and what have you. And then you went on about your business. Well, it's two folds to that idea, right? The first idea that comes from that is you feel, as a consumer, you feel super lucky, like a scavenger hunt almost. Like you have to dig through some shit to find it. And then when you find your size, you're super happy about that. You run up to the register, you make your purchase, or you throw it in your basket and continue on your scavenger hunt, right? It's something you got to work for it. Right? He's making you work for it. That's super genius, right? Because a lot of us have got set in our ways. We got lazy. We go through, we sift through the racks. We look at the clothes on the hanger. We move the shit along. And then we're thinking, damn, like I didn't find my size, or you found your size, you grab the shit, you put it in the basket, you go on about your business, right? But here's the other part of that. When we are grabbing clothes, and when we are taking them off the hanger, put in the clothes into the basket, and then once we put it in the basket, we go to the register. Half the time, they don't give you the hangers. So what are they doing? They're putting the clothes right back in the bag, and then you're taking them home. So the concept of him putting this shit in a bag and everybody getting fucking bent out of shape, it was literally something that you guys already have been doing, just unknowingly. Right? There's a couple of stores that kind of, and we'll talk about, I'll touch on this real quick. There's a couple of stores that are like, don't put your shit in the bag, or you could pay for an extra bag so you can grab your stuff and kind of carry it out in your hand or whatnot. That's not the concept. The concept is that he made such a small change that it granted fucking headlining news that this guy told them to take the shit off the hangers and put it in bags and make you sift through the shit and grab the shit through a bag. I thought it was genius, right? And I bring all that up because I have my own clothing line. I have my own brand, but I look at Kanye, right? And I know we're not supposed to do this. We're not supposed to idolize anyone per the fucking commandments, right? Per the fucking 10 commandments. We're not supposed to idolize anybody, but I'm not going to lie. I looked at him like an idol, right? And I still I'm teetering because some of the stuff that he says, I don't necessarily believe in. I don't go that far to believe in the shit. But, again, he's his own man and I can't tell him how to think, right? Who the fuck am I to tell somebody else how to think, right? But he said all these things. He came out, he apologized for what he said, and now he's being led by God. Great. Hats off. We clap it up. Hats off to you. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. That's crazy, right? I looked at this guy and seeing the marketing strategy and seeing what he was doing. I seen how he was making waves in the clothing business. And, he had an interview with Sway, right? If you don't know who Sway is, and if you don't know the famous clip, you don't have all the answers, Sway, then once again, you've been living under a fucking rock, right? But he had this famous interview where he's talking about, he can't start it on his own, so to speak. He needs help. He needs help, right? From these other conglomerates, these other brands to pair with him to get him help. And being that he's Kanye West, he has all these grand ideas and he wants to bring these ideas to the masses. Now, with those grand ideas, it definitely worked because he became a billionaire just based off of the things that he was selling and the clothes that he was making at the time. Some of the stuff, listen. I'm gonna be honest, listener. Some of the shit that he was putting out, it was just standard shit. The quality wasn't the greatest, but again, when you're a brand and when you're trying to put your clothing line out there like that, it's gonna take some time for you to develop, right? But I think everybody was figuring with his name, with his money, with what he was doing, the brand is the brand and the clothing and everything that came with it should have been top notch. True, but being that it wasn't that and it was marked at a higher price, you all still bought into it. You all still bought into it for the name. I think that's what everybody bought into it for the name, more than it was just a regular t-shirt. We all bought into it because it was for the name, right? We didn't buy into it because it was just some super dope shit or like he went out there and grabbed all the textures and everything like that. That came later, right? But I watched what this guy was doing and I started to think, well, if my idol can jump into fashion, and at first when he was doing these interviews and talking about all these things, I didn't understand at first. I totally didn't understand where he was coming from. I didn't get it, right? And so too, like everybody else who didn't get it, I bucked the system and was like, what the fuck is Kanye talking about? Just get back to the music, bruh, right? That was my take on it. That was my idea. I didn't understand. And I didn't understand until I got my own brand, right? Until I got W.E.I.R.D. Till I stepped into that, I really didn't understand what that meant. For him to be able to break the door down and get into this brand or getting, partnering up with these brands and, man, making something huge. And on top of all of that, he's black, right? So he's breaking down barriers there, right? So once I understood it, once I got it, I was like, man, this shit is genius. I love where he's trying to go. He's trying to break down barriers. He's trying to break down the doors. Man, this is great for me, the little guy who wants to jump into this game as well. You know what I'm saying? So I followed down the same path, right? I looked at Kanye West as like the guy who went over the hill, took all the arrows for us, and then came back and said, all right, this is how you do it. Right? And I'm an advocate for doing shit like that too. Like I'll go take the darts and the arrows for my peeps, and then I'll come back and I'll say, all right, this is how you got to do it. Right? So we think in the same vein. All right. So with me jumping in and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I jump in, I make this brand called W.E.I.R.D. So it started me down this path, right? With my own brand. And as you know, I have a brand called W.E.I.R.D. Okay. And if you're not understanding of what it is, it's the world's first anti-bullying streetwear brand. W.E.I.R.D stands for wonderful, entertaining, interesting, rich dork. It was a play on me, right? And so I came up with this brand in 2016 and I was like, you know what? It's an anti-bullying brand because myself, I was bullied and I was like, I need to make something out of nothing. And I want my own company, I want my own brand, and I want to do my own thing. I was kind of striking out at the same time. Like, I want to do my own thing. But when I came up with this brand, it was one of the toughest things to do, right? Because I had to put myself on Front Street. I had to put a lot of shit out there and talk about myself in a way that I was bullied. And, I want to bring this to the masses. And it was a difficult task because I had no knowledge or no know-how of how to start a company or a brand or anything like that. I didn't know how to do shit with it, right? But once it started to take off, once we got there, you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, I understand what Kanye is doing. I understand where he's going with it, I should say. And why couldn't I do that? What makes me different from Kanye West aside from he's a mega superstar and his name is famously known? What makes me any different? I have a brand. I could do the same thing. So what makes me different from Kanye? What makes you different from Kanye, right? Because we all could start something, partner with these companies, and boom, it's over. even with Inconsistently Consistent, even with my podcast, right? I'm manifesting the fact that I want to be able to partnership with Liquid Death, right? And so I did that. I'm manifesting this into existence with Liquid Death, and I'm like, like this is a cold ass brand. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, what the hell is the Death stand for? I'm like, murder your thirst. I'm naming off their slogans and all of this things like that. It's a water company. Like, I'm like, oh, I could get behind water. Like, yes, it's something good for you. I was in the mood. I was in a position when I started this up. I was in a position of like, being more healthy and more health conscious. So it lined up with who I am. But let's talk about that for a minute, right? Because I went to LinkedIn because someone said, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, if you're not on LinkedIn, far as for your brand or whatnot, if you have a brand, if you're not on LinkedIn, how is anybody supposed to know who the fuck you are, right? Because that's where business is done. LinkedIn is the business app. That's the connection app, right? I'm dropping game this episode, so if you don't got your pen and your pad, get your pen and your pad. I'm dropping game, right? If you want to be taken seriously, you need to really focus on your LinkedIn and your outreach, right? You're going to get a lot of people that's on some outreach on some bullshit, but then you're going to have other people that's serious that want to outreach to you and want to actually do something with you. So I take this information from YouTube University. I take this information and I'm like, let me build up my LinkedIn. Let me do this because this will be a great thing for me to be able to do, to promote my brand and connect with other people and connect with other brands, right? That was the idea. If Kanye can pair with Adidas, and he had already paired up with Nike, and we seen that, and he was a rapper, he wasn't an athlete or anything like that, then why couldn't I do it, right? I had something that was really great, right? It's anti-bullying. You never seen any companies really pair up with any anti-bullying corporations to make some specific clothing for their brand. You partner up with them. You bring them ideas. You pitch them ideas, this, that, and the third, and you come up with something, right? So I go to LinkedIn, and I'm thinking in my head, hey, I put this out here. These brands are gonna gobble this shit up because I'm doing something good. But a lot of these brands are like, they got the with them attitude, right? Let me break down what the with them means. What's in it for me, right? How can they capitalize off my brand, right? I'm already doing numbers on my own, but if I could pair with an Adidas or a Puma or even a Clark's. I even went as low as Clark's. I went to Reebok. I went to Adidas, but I went to all these companies through LinkedIn and I went to the head designers. And I was like, hey, I have this brand. I'd like to pair with you. And I'm summarizing the shit out of this, but I got this brand. It's an anti-bullying clothing line and I want to pair with you. What do you think about this? Let's pair. Let's do something together, right? And one after the other, I got shut down. Nope. Time and time again. And I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck is it going to take for people to take me serious, right? I already got the sales coming in. I already got the people that is wearing my brand. I already got people kind of talking about it and whatnot. What is it going to take for me to get to that threshold to where I'm not Kanye? So even pairing up with somebody that's unknown and making something bigger out of it is even better, right? We could pair together. We could work together. We could do this shit together is what I was thinking, right? If I reach my hand out to you, reach your hand back and let me know. So I did get some responses. I'm not going to say they totally ignored me. I'm not going to say the people that I reached out to totally ignored me because they didn't. I spoke to some of the head designers and some of the head people at some of these major companies and these major brands. But the doors were constantly being shut on me, right? And I was like, man, what the fuck? Like, what do I have to do in order to get this shit to go? Like, what do I have to do? What? I was lost for words. I was sitting there and I bullshit you not. I literally was crying because I couldn't get with these brands and I couldn't like make something that I had brought to life bigger than what it was, right? And it pissed me off. So back to Liquid Death. I'm speaking that into existence. I want to pair with them, but I'm also seeing the other side of it, right? I'm also seeing people talking about, don't stop drinking Liquid Death, stop fucking, dealing with Liquid Death, don't do this, that, and the third. But they were all hawking their own brands. So, which I was like, right. So don't drink that shit, but drink your water. So, what the fuck? Instead of me tearing down another company, I would rather pair with you and do like a partnership. It just makes more sense to me. I own what I have, you have what you have, and we partner together to make something huger, to make something bigger and better than what it really actually is, right? So like I said, I kept getting the door slammed on me. Again, I had talks and everything like that. I had interviewed with different type of people in regards to my brand. I was in a magazine. So I'm like, man, I'm fucking popping. What the fuck is it going to take for another brand to take me serious? I don't want to jump in the pool, right? I don't want to jump in the pool knowing that you controlling the deep end. I'm like a fucking splash in the pool, right? I don't want to jump in and think that, I'm gonna overtake what you got going on. That wasn't the idea. The idea was to partner. And again, it probably would have been more beneficial to me than it would have been to them. But I guess my initial thought was it would be putting a light on something that needed to stop, right? Bullying, right? Again, W.E.I.R.D clothing company is one of the first anti-bullying streetwear brands. There's no other brands that are trying to be streetwear and trying to send you a message with what they want. It hasn't happened since Cross Colors, right? FUBU was another one, right? These brands were trying to be streetwear brands, but also provide you with the message. So I took my notes right out of their book too, right? So I had to think about these things before bringing it to the masses and bringing it to you. And I'm still local. I'm still little. I'm still doing my thing or whatever. But I think it's very important for me to talk about the brands and the partnerships and what that looks like, right? A lot of these companies have the with them attitude. If you're a small brand, fuck pairing with you. It doesn't make a difference. It's not going to make me any extra coin if I pair with you, even if you are doing something good, right? So they pair with somebody like a Kayne West, somebody that they know can bring them tremendous amounts of money, right? Because in order to make Kayne West a billionaire, how much money do you think they got off that? That's what we really need to be asking. If they were able to make Kayne West a billionaire, how much money were they making, right? So it's always this with them attitude, and these corporations are not looking at you as the brand for help, or they're not looking at you to help out, right? They might donate to your company. They might, do something small to help them in the long run, right? Because it's going to get their name out there. Right? They donated with this person. They donated to that person, to help them out. But essentially it helps out the smaller brand, right? But in turn, if it's something that's being really offered here, in turn, again, it goes in line with you're putting a bigger light on something bigger, right? I've seen these companies pair up with, and no shame, right? Breast cancer, all different type of awarenesses, because I don't want to get into the awareness and take the shine off of what's happening here. But a lot of these companies that are pairing up with these different type of awarenesses, that awareness is already established. There's money there. So they look at it like, it's money there. So these companies it's not one person, but these companies have a with them attitude. What's in it for me? At the end of the day. And so, again, when I went to them with that approach, hey, we could partner together. We could put a bigger light on something bigger, like bullying. We can get to the schools. We can get to all the shit that I'm already kind of doing in the outreach and, trying to make kids look cool, trying to make adults look cool and shit like that, right? But I'm only one person, so I can only do so much. But again, you got all these different brands that have this different type of huge reach that you guys don't even know anything about them, right? And it's proven in the fact, right? Because I looked at Kanye West like an idol. Like, this guy's is an idol to me, right? I shouldn't have did that, but I did. It is what it is, right? But I looked at him like that, and here's the thing. I had no idea who the fuck this guy was. And again, that was the whole point that I was making some time ago, that you guys wear a lot of these brands and you have no idea who the fuck they are, what they stand for, the person behind the shit. You don't know anything about them, right? So I was taking the approach like, you know about me, you know who I am, you know what I stand for, you know some of my background shit. So it's not like my shit is out there, right? I'm an open book. So you know about me in a sense. And if the companies wanted to pair with me, you could go ahead and dive deep and see these things about me, right? Now, a person can be one way, right? i.e. Kanye West. A person can be one way, and then they can also be another way as time goes on. Because I feel like every 10 years we change. We change our beliefs. We change how we do things every fucking 10 years. So again, here's Kanye West. He changed. Everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? What's happening? But I mean, again, the bigger look and the bigger thing is here that what they're able to do. And here's the huge point. The huge fucking point. He paired with these companies and he didn't own shit. So they took it all. Told him he couldn't fucking word the likeness. He couldn't spread his own shit that he brought to them and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And he took it away from him and said, no, it's ours now. Since you want to go out and spew all this shit and talk all this shit about different races and spread misinformation, we'll just take it from you. Now you don't have it anymore. And so that's the bigger play, right? These companies that are pairing with these other brands or whatnot, you better make sure you own your shit. Because if you don't own your shit, then they can take over and bump you the fuck out. And then, like I said, Jay-Z has a perfect line. Grand opening, grand closing. And that's exactly what I see here with Kanye West. Grand opening, grand closing. And he got fucked in the deal. Like, this is not what I wanted to see out of my idol. But in a bigger scheme, or the bigger picture to that, is he fucked up the bag. He fucked up not only his generational wealth. Now, I'm speaking just in terms of, he went from a billionaire to a millionaire, and it's not a bad thing. He probably still has enough money to provide generational wealth, right? But he has a lifestyle that he was probably maintaining. So again, we look at the 400 million and think that, oh, well, he got enough to do whatever the fuck he wants. But that's not true, right? He still has a lifestyle to maintain. So who knows how long that 400,000 will last him. But he fucked up the bag in regards to generational wealth for his family. Maybe. If he stops right now, he might be all right. But maybe he might have fucked that up. But the most important thing, right? If we want to think about this shit on a huger reach, he fucked up any chances for any smaller brands or any other brands to go through that door. Now, we have to think about other ways to get through that door, right? So all the outreach that I was doing via LinkedIn and talking with these brands, again, now, who knows if I'm able to go through that same way or if I'm able to do the same things. So he might have messed it up for the future generation trying to come through that same door the same way he did. and having partnerships. And it happens all the time, right? I want to touch on another topic as well, too, because I think we kind of got away from, or we're overlooking something, right? The other thing that we're overlooking is the fact that this constantly happens to black men in fashion, right? Let's just talk about somebody else out of that camp. Let's talk about Travis Scott. He throws concerts and some tragic shit happened at his concert. Let's just leave it at that. I won't go into deep detail. Some tragic shit happens at his concert. Oof. But he suffers the consequence of it. Some of the brands start pulling away from him. Some of his bags start getting fucked up because of this concert and because he was in the headlines, right? But we don't look at other nationalities and what they bring to the table. No, I won't go there. Fuck it. I was about to go with Russell Simmons and his shit, but I won't go there. That's another topic, right? But it happens constantly to black men that are in the public eye, that have these partnerships or either ownerships and have these investors that come in and put money into these brands to make them bigger, or put money into whatever it is and make the shit bigger. And then something major happens and they start pulling the fuck out and they start backing away. The stock starts to drop. Investors start to leave, right? But I don't see this shit happening on a larger scale, because I'm not going to go out and say that black men, because I'm black, but I'm not going to go out and say black men are the only men that do fucked up shit. Let's be clear. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm only going to bring this up because this is the one that's fresh in my mind. But if we talk about like Tommy Hilfiger, right? He said some fucked up shit about he didn't want blacks to wear his brand. It was specifically geared towards Caucasian people, white people, right? He didn't want black people in his brand because of kind of like the media showing black people in his brand doing bad shit, right? So the owner, the founder says this shit, and his Tommy takes a hit, but he doesn't get his shit taken away from him. You know what I'm saying? Like on the back end of it, it's not like, oh, you said that and then you're done. You're done out here. I mean, obviously cancel culture wasn't a thing just yet. But again, I see this constantly over and over and over, where there's black men out here that partner up with these brands. When something major happens, they pull back. But in this case, they're making an example out of Kayne West, right? As they should, in a sense. I'm not gonna sit here because he's my idol and try to give him grace, because some of the things that he said, he shouldn't have said, right? Or he shouldn't have went out on a public platform and said them, right? But again, for what's happening to him, is that what can happen to W.E.I.R.D? Is that what can happen to me if I go through those doors and I try to partner up? So it brings me to another point, right? My other point is this. While I was sitting back crying and I was sitting boo-hooing and wondering why these brands wouldn't pair with me, God was leading the way. God was definitely leading the way. That's why this season of Inconsistently Consistent is about preachy, right? Because I know like a lot of people are like, well, but you just said you don't believe in the 10 Commandments, how can you bring up God? No, I'm bringing up God because I have a personal relationship with God. And this just lets me know that there is a higher creator or a God or what have you. I can tell you it's out there. He is out there and he's guiding me, right? So I'm boo-hooing. I'm crying like a motherfucker. Why these brands don't want to fuck with me? I got a good thing. Why they don't want to fuck with me? What am I can't, and it clicked. I can't make them money. I can't provide them anything. It's a with them, right? I'm just a little guy. Get your numbers up, get famous, get this, and then we might be able to fuck with you, right? We might be able to come in, rape and pillage. whatever you got going on, and then, we get whatever we got out of you, suck you dry, and then get the fuck out of here, right? That's the machine. It's like that through business. That's just business. It shouldn't be that way, but that's business. I come to understand that. But while I was boohooing, God was there, and he seen me boohooing, and he seen me crying, and he seen me like frustrated and upset, like why these brands don't want to fuck with me, why they don't want to pair with me. And he's sitting back and he's like, my son, I'm going to show you some shit, but you got to be ready to be seen. You got to let me say that again. You got to be ready to see that shit, right? And so now that I come to this point in my life, I'm able to see what's happening, right? If I would have paired with these companies, could this have been my own demise? Right? Because I talk about this shit on a scale of like, we all could be Kanye. We all could be in this shit, right? We ready to throw those stones, but not act like we too don't have our own beliefs about shit. We just don't have a big enough platform to be able to talk about the shit and be able to put the shit out there. But any one of us could have been Kanye, right? It just happened to be his turn. But I'm glad. Well, I won't say I'm glad. No, fuck that. No, I will say I'm glad. I'm glad God was in my corner and he seen what was really truly taking place and what I would be able to see later. How this shit all would play out. And this is why I didn't want to go down that route. Because of this potentially situation. They're going to build you up just to suck you dry and then you're done. And not every company is like that. I don't want to sit here and say every company is like that. But I think the more important thing is ownership, right? If he would have owned this shit that he's putting out, there's no way they could do this to him, right? He'd be still able to do his own thing, talk his shit, and people would still buy. And the saga would continue, right? But there's a bigger thing at play as well, too, that I keep hearing people bring up. And I'm going to bring it up, too, because I think it's important. The other thing to bring up is that when things are said about black people or people of color, I should say, let's go there. When things are said about people of color, it's overlooked, right? Because he said a whole gang of shit over the years. He should have been canceled out a long time ago, right? But because it was about a different group of people who run shit, this was the line in the sand. And that to me is like, wow, it's smoke and mirrors, right? So me personally, I pair with these brands. I talk about these brands and I do things with these different type of brands, but I do them not for their benefit, but for the benefit of everyone and also the benefit of myself. I'm not going to sit here and say it's on some, it's on some just some me shit or on some just some them shit. No, it's a benefit for everyone else. And I say that because people are like, well, how can it be a benefit for everybody else? It could be a benefit for everyone else because you guys get to see me go over the hill, get shot up, and then come back with the bow and arrows or whatever, come back and tell you, all right, this is the way you got to do it to avoid this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot. I wouldn't have got shot here if I would have moved this way. I would have got shot there if I would have moved this way. It gives you inspiration and hope that maybe one day you're able to go out there and you're able to do the same thing that I did, but you did it better, right? It's about evolution. It's about growing. It's about getting there and doing it in different ways, right? So we all see the embarrassment, the fallout between these companies and Kanye West. We're all seeing it play out. But don't think for a second that it can't be you. Because we all got different beliefs. That's what makes us human. We all got different beliefs and shit, right? But here's the thing. What really needs to be broke down, or what barriers that really need to be broke down, is the racial barrier. We're the high sensitive time in our lives, right? Where race is fucking at the forefront of damn near everything. But those are the walls that need to be broke down first, right? Then we could do business. Then we can try to figure out what's going to happen later on down in life, with this partnership. But one person says one thing about somebody else don't like it, and here we go. Partnership is done with. And it seems like it's only black men that is happening to. I could be wrong. And if you have proof that it's happening to other nationalities that are not color, and I'm talking mainly about Caucasian people, if you have the know-how or you got some statistics where this is happening on a major scale, where people are just getting gutted, right? And I mean, they didn't take all this fucking money, but they pretty much gutted him good. You know what I mean? To where, again, no other brands will probably want to pair with him because of what his beliefs are or whatever he's spewing at that point. He's fucked. So it's fucked up on both ends. It's fucked for him because it takes away some wealth that he might have had. But it's fucked up for us because the little guy can't get in the door the same way. Those doors are shut. And it's fucked up for the businesses because now you got these brands and these businesses that are going to constantly strike out on their own and do their own fucking thing. So this shines such a huge light, and I'm glad it happened. And I'm glad God was right there to be able to show me like what this looks like. So that way I could bring it to you and walk in a different light, right? We got to do it different now. Thanks for listening. All right. So this podcast was produced and recorded by me. I'm the only one behind the scenes making this podcast happen. So listening and spreading the word would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I'm sure your ears will thank your brain later. Inconsistently consistent. I'm out. This episode of Inconsistently Consistent was produced and recorded by Eric G. Polk, aka Everything Real Is Known. This is a W.E.I.R.D Recordings production.